I have to come with it all. I have to do more. Obviously, just to secure the win is doing just enough to get a draw. So I have to push harder. I have to train harder. I have to be more mean. I have to be more physical. I have to do a lot. I have to do everything just a little more. And I think that will definitely put me over the hump. And
Is it gonna be a rematch, or are y'all still working on it, or what's the plan?
It's gonna be a rematch.
But it's
Nine
not.
times out of
That's how I
10,
sealed
like,
the delivery.
yeah, it's on the way.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you.
Tank Davis and Lamont Roach are set for a rematch that guarantees to be much more electrifying than their first showdown. The controversy surrounding their initial bout has ignited an even fiercer rivalry, with both fighters now resolute in proving themselves decisively. The clash is scheduled for June 21st in Las Vegas, and judging by the intensity from both camps, this one won't be decided by the judges. Tank has already made his stance clear, warning Roach that he won't make it to the later rounds. However, Roach confidently stated that he will defeat Tank once again.
We'll be getting that rematch. I think that's really big, man. If we do get that rematch on June the 21st, I believe that'll be big news. I believe that'll be big, man. So if we can get that fight, man, that
Rio Roach hasn't held back his frustrations, particularly with referee Willis. In his view, Willis made several errors that affected the result, from giving Davis extra time to recover after taking a knee to overlooking what Roach insists were illegal moves in the corner. The challenger is convinced he was unjustly robbed of a win.
It's like sweat won't get in your eye, blood won't get in your eye, spit fucking around and get in your eye. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like you can be like, all right, time out, ref. Hold on, ref. Can't do that.
Right. Would you be cool with Steve Willis doing the next fight?
Hell no.
He can't do the next fight.
No, he can't do the next fight.
Hell no, he can't referee the next fight. Roach vented on it is what it is. Look at how many times he messed the fight up. The knee, him going to the corner to get assistance. He didn't directly accuse Davis of cheating, but argued that his opponent gained an unfair advantage from questionable officiating. You can't do any of that. That's a disqualification.
Rematch right now. Roach Tank, Haney Garcia.
Roach Tank. I mean, first of all, Tank. First of all, Tank is just bigger than Haney and Ryan both. And recency bias, that just happened. Haney was last year. This just happened. More people, like Haney didn't get a song. Well, he did get a song. But that's what I'm saying. His song is dead or dying out. Tank's is popping. Like, it's Tank's time right now. Tank is in our mind more than Haney.
Roach and his team even filed a petition with the NYSAC in an attempt to overturn the decision, but their request was quickly rejected. With no other options, Roach turned his attention to locking in an immediate rematch. And now that fight is nearly set. I'ma tell you right now, I'm signed and sealed. Roach confirmed, making it clear that all that's left is for Davis to do the same.
I definitely could have. That was on me too. That was on me for sure. Because I ain't pick it up when I supposed to pick it up. And I could have definitely did more. He caught me with a good shot, but it was times that I sat in there with him and I'm like, damn, this guy like super slow. Well, not super slow, but he's slow.
On the other side, Davis has remained mostly silent. Unlike Roach, he hasn't gone on media rants or assigned blame. Instead, he's dived straight into training, blocking out distractions, and preparing with a new level of focus. Whispers from his camp suggest that Davis has taken all the criticism personally and is using it as fuel. He knows what people are saying. Calvin Ford said when asked about Tank, that's why he's not playing around this time. No distractions, no outside noise. He's coming to make a statement. Davis himself finally spoke up recently, making it clear he has no plans to let the fight go the distance. I ain't letting this one go to the judges, Davis said. This time I'm closing the show.
For 12.
He got decent power. For sure. I ain't gonna say it's exaggerated. I told you I got a chin. I ain't going like that. It's just not gonna happen. But like I said, I see why he knocked people out, and I think he felt my power too. Like, I think that's what negated a lot of his shots. And once I took his best shot, I was like, oh yeah, it's time to roll.
The WUBA has already confirmed that the rematch will be mandatory, meaning Davis must accept the fight or risk losing his title. But even if the belt weren't at stake, Tank made it clear he wouldn't hesitate. He's not concerned with technicalities. He wants to erase all doubt in his mind. Roach was fortunate the first fight, even made it to the final bell. This time he plans to end it. Roach, however, is confident he holds the key to victory. He spotted weaknesses in Davis's strategy, took advantage of them early, and forced the champion to make adjustments.
On everyone's mind, how close is the rematch? How big will it be? How close is it to getting done?
Very close. It's in my mind, it's a done deal, but there are formalities, but it's a done deal, and it's not far off. I can't give you more than that right now, but what I can tell you is that it's going to be an interesting fight. I think you got dynamics. You've got Gervonta, who's probably going to be angry, probably woken up, probably more focused than he has been. Not talking about retirement. That's a factor.
His movement, counter-punching, and ability to stay disciplined kept the fight competitive, and in his mind, it was enough to secure the win outright. But Davis's power was always a threat, and Roach understands that avoiding it for 12 rounds is no easy task. Negotiations for the rematch have progressed quickly, with both camps eager to settle the score. Roach's promoter, Gary Jonas, confirmed that they are just waiting for the final paperwork to be completed. But the fight is essentially set with Las Vegas as the stage, and the controversy from the first fight still lingering. The rematch is expected to be an even bigger spectacle.
He was coming up a weight.
Right.
And coming up a weight, and you're fighting immediately the head of the class. And what you and Cannon had taught me about weight classes they are important. They are in place for a reason. So don't just sit here and just act like he was just like that. Now, he came out there and fought an amazing fight. He had an amazing game plan, and I immediately really...
Roach remains confident yet cautious. He isn't underestimating Davis, but he stands firm in his belief that he has the skills to outbox him. In his view, the biggest challenge wasn't Davis himself, but the officiating. He's pushing for a neutral referee and a fair fight, convinced that under those circumstances, he'll prove he's the superior fighter. Davis, however, sees it completely differently. To him, Roach was merely surviving, not winning. He never felt truly threatened, and believes Roach spent more time avoiding than engaging. That's why this time he's taking a far more aggressive approach. He's aiming for a knockout, and he's making no effort to hide it.
If Tank was not so cocky to be on a Terrence Crawford undercard, that would be dumb. But I don't see Tank taking a backseat to no fighter, because he'll think it's the Tank show. So I don't know, but it should be a good undercard.
This ain't going 12. Davis said, "I'm ending this early, watch me." But in the midst of all this, Terrence Crawford has jumped in to stir the pot. Crawford has been taking shots at Tank Davis, not in the ring, but through the media. He's repeatedly claimed that Roach was robbed, and that Tank should have lost this time. He went even further, hitting Davis where it hurts. Crawford is pushing for Tank to fight Shakur Stevenson on the undercard of his September 13th showdown against Canelo Alvarez. And just like that, he's back in the headlines. But is this really about boxing? Or is Crawford just taking another jab at Tank?
Gervonta Davis speaking about you. Is that ever a possible fight?
Yeah, if he want to dare to be great, he can be like all the other fighters that moving up 2 weight classes, daring to be great.
You would fight him.
And tell him to come up there.
You gotta come to win 54.
He said I got a glass chin, so tell him to come and touch it.
Wow.
Crawford knows exactly what he's doing by suggesting that Tank should be on his undercard. He's pushing the narrative that Davis isn't the true face of boxing, making it seem like Tank needs his platform for exposure. But let's be real, who really needs who here? If anything, it's Crawford, who could use Tank to generate more buzz for his own fight. Tank doesn't need to fight on anyone's undercard. His events sell on their own. Meanwhile, Crawford's track record with pay-per-view numbers isn't exactly stellar. Outside of his fight with Errol Spence, most of his PP bouts have underperformed. Even against Canelo, there's a real chance the event won't be as massive as he hopes. But Crawford isn't just questioning Tank's status, he's going after his pride. He said if Tank wasn't so cocky, fighting on a Terrence Crawford undercard would be dope. In other words, he's implying that Tank's ego is stopping him from making a smart business decision. But let's be real, would Crawford ever fight on Tank's undercard? Of course not. That's why this sounds more like a diss than a genuine suggestion. Crawford is testing Tank, seeing if he can get a reaction, and let's be honest, he probably will. The tension between these two has been simmering for a while. Crawford has taken plenty of indirect shots at Tank, before he's called Shaker Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis, the best lightweights in boxing, completely ignoring Tank's accomplishments.
How you feel about that fight? Is it even possible at a catch weight?
Nah, ain't no catch weight. You come up to 47.
You're not even entertaining catch weight.
No, I'm not.
He's a champ though too, undefeated.
What champ? Come on, man, tell me what belt. You know boxing. You forgot Devin Haney is undisputed. Devin Haney got all the belts. He the champ. Nobody else the champ. I'm gonna come up here with a big boy.
He's acted like Tank isn't even part of the conversation. But let's not forget this is the same Gervonta Davis who has knocked out 28 of his 31 opponents, the same Tank who has sold out arenas and shattered pay-per-view records, the same Tank who made Ryan Garcia quit with a body shot, yet, according to Crawford, Lamont Roach is the only fighter out of 31 to come close to beating Tank. Actually, Crawford, like many others, believes Roach already beat Tank, and that's why he's convinced the rematch will be a beatdown for Davis. But why is Crawford acting like Tank has something to prove? Maybe because deep down he knows Tank is the bigger star, and that's got to sting for a guy who considers himself one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Crawford may be undefeated, but he hasn't built the same kind of global fan base that Tank has. And now, as he moves up to fight Canelo, he realizes he needs every ounce of star power he can get.
Gestor asks, what's the potential matchup in boxing you would like to see next?
I would like to see Shakur versus Devin or Shakur versus Tank. Those are the two big fights that I would like to see next.
Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson. Who wins that fight right now?
Shakur. Shakur.
Wow.
The truth is, Tank versus Shaker isn't happening anytime soon. And it's not just about pride, it's about business. Shaker is a skilled fighter, but he's not a major draw. His style doesn't excite casual fans. Tank has made it clear that if he's going to step in the ring, it has to be worth it. And let's be honest, Shaker isn't pulling in huge pay-per-view numbers. On the other hand, a rematch with Ryan Garcia, now that is big money. If Tank is weighing his options, why would he settle for a fight with Shaker when he could cash in against Ryan again?
People want to discredit Tank as he's still a pound-for-pound fighter.
What do you think about that fight that happened? You thought it was just off night? Or?
Everybody has an off night. Everybody has an off night. I had a night with Cruz. Everyone has a night. It's boxing.
And let's not forget the bigger issue. Crawford and Tank don't even fight in the same division. Crawford is moving up to 168 for this fight, way beyond Tank's weight class. So why is he even talking about Tank? Because many believe he knows who the real star is. He knows that just mentioning Tank's name guarantees attention. But it's a risky game. If he keeps poking at Tank, it's only a matter of time before Tank fires back. And if there's one thing we know about Gervonta Davis, it's that he doesn't hold back.
What I've seen in the fight, I thought Lamont won. And I think the commission does need to do something with that knee. Because if they don't, then all of us are going to think we could take a knee anytime we want. You know, they got to do something about it. I mean, they did something about me. You got to do something about other people. You know, rules are rules, right? You know, I like Tank, though, personally. But a rule is a rule. You can't go and take a knee and then just expect not to be a knockdown. You can't get away with it, stuff like that.
When you say 1 foot in boxing and 1 foot out.
Rolando Romero believes Gervonta Davis will make the necessary adjustments to win the rematch against Lamont Roach. Speaking to The Ring, he explained that Roach shocked the boxing world with his performance and may have even surprised himself. However, Romero is convinced Davis won't let that happen again. He emphasized that Davis is a 3-division world champion and one of the greatest fighters of this generation. In his view, the rematch is essential because the first fight left too many questions unanswered.
They reverse the result of your fight. Yeah. Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
Just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives Roach the victory, give him the victory. That's how you keep the integrity of the sport, right? That's why they suspended me, right? To keep the integrity of the sport. So I feel like.
But some people aren't convinced that adjustments alone will be enough. There's a growing argument that Roach didn't just have a great night. He exposed weaknesses in Davis's game. Some believe Davis's struggles weren't just due to underestimating Roach, but proof that he's not as dominant as many thought. Roach showed he could take Davis's power, walk him down, and push him into uncomfortable situations. If Davis's power wasn't enough to stop Roach the first time, why should it be any different in the rematch? Ryan Garcia, however, is fully backing Davis. Speaking to US News, he admitted that Davis likely expected an easier fight, He believes Davis thought Roach would crumble under pressure, and when that didn't happen it threw him off, but Garcia expects a different Davis in the rematch one, who will be fully prepared for a tougher fight in his opinion. Davis wins this time simply by taking Roach more seriously.
What was going on? It was a hell of a fight. I just rewatched it. Just literally rewatched it. Seriously. Wow. Yeah, highway robbery is right. Highway robbery is right. Like, can't make this.
Garcia has his own history with Davis, and some fans believe his support is more personal than analytical. If Davis wins it, makes Garcia's loss to him look better. But if Roach delivers another strong performance, it raises questions about how good Davis really is. That's why Garcia will be watching closely, especially since a future rematch with Davis is still on the table. However, Garcia is also focused on his own career. He's set to fight Rolando Romero at Times Square in May. And if he wins a rematch with Devin Haney is also in the works, which could eventually lead to another showdown with Tank.
Is the fight a fight that should be on pay-per-view?
Hell no, bro. You like almost a 30-year-old prospect, dog. Fight the best. Fight Shakur. Oh, he trying to fight Lomachenko at the. I already know what everybody.
Tim Bradley, on the other hand, isn't convinced Davis deserved the draw after rewatching the fight. He changed his scorecard. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Bradley first focused on the moment Davis took a knee. He didn't hold back, calling it a clear knockdown. He pointed out that Davis got hit, took a knee, and then tried to claim something was in his eye. Bradley wasn't buying that excuse. He reminded everyone that fighters can't take their own timeouts in boxing. If Davis had an issue, it was up to the referee to step in. Bradley also noted that if Davis's braids were bothering him, that was his own fault. He chose to wear them and had to deal with the consequences.
But just couldn't be D1. He's a D2 player. And I was showing love to Lamont and saying that he's a D2 player simply because he's not at the level that Tank is at.
But he's scoring the same amount of points as D2.
But when you put them on the court in a one-on-one, say again?
Why can't he be mid-major? Why he gotta be D2?
I want to make it significant. You know what I mean? Like,
Bradley then explained that after rewatching the fight, he now sees it as a clear win for Roach. He scored it either 7 rounds to 5 or even 8 rounds to 4 in Roach's favor. He made it clear that he wasn't trying to disrespect Davis. He just felt Roach outworked him. In Bradley's opinion, Davis wasn't active enough and Roach controlled more of the fight than people initially gave him credit for.
the fact that Lamont Roach is as familiar with Tank Davis as he is, it goes beyond them fighting in the amateurs. They've spent time in camp together. He's been around Tank. He's seen Tank up close and personal, whether he's in the ring with them or not. That matters. When you know a guy's rhythm, when you know their speed, when you know what they're thinking, that changes everything, you know? Saying all this to say that because I know we got a lot of people. It don't matter. When he get hit, he go.
Not everyone agrees with Bradley. Sean Porter, speaking on the Porter Way podcast, defended the draw. He acknowledged that many felt Roach won, but urged them to rewatch the fight before jumping to conclusions. Porter pointed out that just because Davis wasn't in control the entire time doesn't mean he lost every close round. He originally scored the fight as a draw and still stands by that assessment.
I think in a rematch, I don't see it being, what'd you say, the rematch where he got knocked? Charlo against Harrison?
Yeah.
I don't see it being like that. I feel like Lamont Roach is going to start the pressure earlier, and he's still going to be ready.
Porter did, however, admit that Roach fought a fantastic fight. He said that if Roach had been awarded the victory, he wouldn't have argued. But he also made it clear that if Roach had lost outright, he would have had an issue with that decision, especially because of the knockdown moment. In his eyes, the knockdown was legitimate, and Davis was lucky it didn't impact the final score more than it did.
That fight with Tank and Lamont Roach shows y'all how protected Tank has been for the past several years. And the people saying, oh, Tank knew Lamont and he disrespected Lamont because they fought in the amateurs. Man, he was cherry picking Lamont, you know, and really thought.
These contrasting opinions highlight the controversy surrounding the fight. Some believe Davis was fortunate to get a draw, while others think the result was fair. But one thing is certain: there's pressure on Davis to prove himself in the rematch. If he wins convincingly, he can silence the critics But if Roach once again pushes him to the limit or even wins outright, it could damage Davis's reputation as one of the sport's top fighters.